Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. Welcome. We're going to give folks a few more minutes here to trickle in. While we're waiting, we love to just ask everyone to drop in the chat where you are located and tell us one good thing that's happened to you this week. Awesome. Kansas City. Spring is definitely springing. Those that have just joined us, we're dropping in the chat just where we're located and a good thing that has happened to you this week. We'll get started here soon. Oh, wow,
Okay.
80-degree weather.
I was gonna say spring is not springing that much where I am.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm jealous.
80 degrees is nice.
Yes, that is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome. A few more joining us. While we wait, we're dropping in the chat where we are located and one good thing that's happened to you this week. Adjust my light. I am on the East Coast in Maryland, so it is 7 o'clock, which means my office is starting to feel a bit like a cave. So, all right. Massachusetts, welcome.
You guys are neighbors. Sort of.
Kind of. I leave at the crack of dawn. I can be in Massachusetts in like 6 hours.
Not bad.
Yeah, you just gotta
I
leave.
can I can too, just by plane.
True, true, true. Went to Hood College in Frederick. No way, get out of town. That's my hometown. I am from Frederick, Walkersville specifically. Very cool. Vacation week. Are you vacationing in Massachusetts?
Oh, maybe she's vacationing in Massachusetts.
A good place
That
to
might be
vacation.
it. Yeah.
Nope,
Oh,
Florida.
Florida.
Very jealous.
Okay. All right, so 80 degrees there too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Oh,
All right. Well, small world. We got another one trickling in, and we'll go ahead and get started, guys. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on. Um, my name's Abby. I'm on the Pocket Suite team here. I think Allison and I are going to introduce ourselves here in a second. If you are here for the webinar, 5 questions every pet boarding owner should be able to answer in 60 seconds, you're in the right place. Allison, I'll go ahead and let my colleague introduce herself.
yeah, hi guys. I'm Allison Fisher. I'm on the Pocket Suite team, but I also happen to own 3 locations of a pet resort serving somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 plus dogs every day. And I've been managing people and teams for about the last 20 years, 10 of those in the pet industry. And since we're in the dog world, I'll share that I'm a terrier fanatic. Just lost my schnauzer of 14 years a couple months ago. And I have 2 Kerry Blue Terriers, 2 female Kerry Blue Terriers living in the same home, if you believe it. For those of you that are pet industry people, that's just a wild card waiting to happen.
It is. It is chaos. Allison is also super mom to humans as well. So, yeah, I'm Abby again. Dogs are kind of my thing. So I've been in the dog training industry as well as dog sports for over 8 years now, professionally, and then just grew up in all things dog as well. So 4 years have been spent actually working with industry software. So very, very familiar with how businesses are running and using software to kind of save time on admin work. Again, dogs. Right now, my flavor of crazy is Boykin Spaniels. So that's what we have, and we compete in various sports with, although Great Danes will always kind of have my heart. So awesome. Allison, you want to give us an intro?
Yeah, so some of you may be on Pocket Suite today, some may not be, and may not be on Pocket Suite, and we aren't going to spend a ton of time talking about the features of Pocket Suite. Just what we'll talk about is how you leverage Pocket Suite to, if you are a Pocket Suite user, to answer the questions that we talked about before. So, just real quick, high level is that Pocket Suite, we have over 1,000 pet businesses on the platform, have been serving those folks for about 10 years. Interestingly enough, the first customer of Pocket Suite was a dog trainer. And so we really love leaning into that vertical. Obviously, a lot of us are pet people in ourselves. And so we kind of really put a lot of effort there. Things that we do at Pocket Suite: scheduling and multi-service booking, invoicing, packages, subscription billing, contracts, intake forms, all the administrative pieces, vaccinations, and then, of course, automated client communication and then smart reports. We'll talk about each of those as we go through today. The big thing I want to emphasize with this is that everything in this case is on your phone and mobile. Some of the softwares out there are not, and I know how difficult firsthand, having or owning three pet resorts myself, really difficult to go sit at a computer and be able to sit down and analyze things from the computer desk. And so we focus a lot on making sure we're mobile friendly, and you can answer the questions that we're going to talk about today from your phone while you're standing with a dog, or while you're, working through things. You can answer those questions for yourself on mobile or on desktop. So let's dive into the next slide, Abby.
Yeah, and feel free, folks, as we have questions and as we go through, drop them in the chat. I'm happy to jump in and answer. But yeah,
So the questions you came here today to learn about are listed here. We're going to talk a little bit about occupancy. Are you filling what you've built? That's a big thing today, right? In 2021, 2 and 3, when travel and everything was crazy, people were not worrying about occupancy. Today, our customers are telling us that they're worried about whether or not they're filling their buildings, and it's really important for you to be able to understand that. Client retention, of course. Are you retaining? Are you getting clients, and also are you retaining them? And then add-on services. Abby will probably tease me on the add-on service queen, because I think that's just something that works so well for our pet industry customers. So we'll talk a little more about that. Marketing efficiency. How many of us, raise your hand, philosophically have said, oh my gosh, we're not full the next 2 weeks, or our Tuesdays are slow, or something along those lines, and we're sort of reactively pushing a special or advertising or pushing out a Facebook post. We have appointments available. These are things that we want to get ahead of, and if making an efficient marketing plan is really important there as well. Same thing with labor efficiency. I'd love to see if any of you that are on the chat today are in facilities that have staff. That obviously is the biggest place where we see bleed in our expenses. And so understanding what your labor efficiency is, and what labor you're spending by service, is super critical. And Pocket Suite does that really well. And then again, the Pocket Suite reports that we mentioned on the last slide, super important to be able to have all of that information at your fingertips to make decisions. A lot of folks who do daycare don't require reservations. You're sort of rolling the dice each morning of how many dogs will walk through your door. And so watching those reports even in real time is so critical to be able to make on the spot decisions about staffing, about labor, all those sorts of things. And then we'll talk about a little bit of a growth plan, and towards the end, once we get through each one of these.
awesome.
Occupancy. So again, I kind of mentioned this a second ago, but occupancy is the direct lever for profitability. Your facility is costing you space, staff, and insurance. So really important to be able to know if you're filling it, and if you're not, what are those steps that you can take to do that. So on to the next slide, Abby, is a sort of list that I would recommend asking. And by the way, folks, when I do webinars, which I don't get to do too much anymore, I always want to walk away with concrete things and actions that I can take to help build my business. That's the reason you guys are here today. So I hope that what you'll take away from the slides, the way that we've formatted them, is what can you ask yourself on a daily basis, and what action can you take? So first things first, what percentage of my available boarding and daycare capacity is filled this month? If you don't know that answer today, you've got to go find it. What percent of the space that you had in your schedule or your facility or whatever it is was filled? If it wasn't, and you don't know that number, you have to go figure out what that number is, because it's the only way you'll know what you have to grow into. Things like building yourself a heat map, which Pocket Suite does do. Where are your dead zones? I'll use a great example in my own resorts. In one of my locations, Fridays are terribly dead. I couldn't tell you why. I've tried every way from Sunday. I finally just started running half price daycare days on Fridays, and we are like at capacity on a wait list every week. And do I want to do that long term? No, but I'm using that as a way to build the routine of my customers coming on Friday. And as we pull those half price days away, hoping to kind of build a more consistent flow there. And then am I scheduling staff to match when the clients actually need care? I referenced this a second ago. When you are a daycare that is allowing drop-in daycare, how hard is it to know how much staff you have to have? And so doing some of this occupancy kind of forecasting and being aware of what your occupancy is will help you to drill that down. And so on the bottom, we've listed a few things. I already referenced this, targeting promotions before things are empty, reminder campaigns. Another really great example here is when your occupancy is low, look and see who's been here and hasn't been back. Who is your first customer? Who are your new customers that you haven't seen for a while? Who are your customers that came early in the year, but you didn't see them later in the year? These are all things that you can go and do to take action to build up that occupancy. And then, of course, staff schedules. Those of you that are using Pocket Suite today, are you maximizing the use of scheduling and resources? These are things that are so critical. And I see a lot in the pet industry, folks bouncing between platforms of, I'll use this platform for booking and this for invoicing and this for scheduling. And it's really, from my perspective, really important to kind of pull all those together so you have it in one place. And you can, again, make very quick and easy decisions on that. Abby, feel free to jump into wherever you like.
Yeah, here's that heat map you were talking about, actually.
Yeah.
So this is perfect.
Yeah, this is a great example. And obviously, we didn't teach you concrete information, but we do want to talk about what Pocket Suite offers. And the resource capacity, good grief, utilization report makes it so easy for you to understand what percentage of your bookable hours are filled across all the resources. So looking ahead to understand where you have spaces, this is like the perfect visual. And for me, being a visual person, really love that to be able to just click in and go, oh, hey, this heat map is looking pretty empty on this section. What can I do to push that forward?
All right, next question.
What is your client retention? The foundation of every other metric is built on. Um, I don't even know what to say on this other than to say, obviously, I do. I'm kind of being cheeky there, but client retention, obviously, hugely important in the pet world. Trainers, groomers, daycare, boarding, like the stickier the customer, and I love that phrase, the stickier the customer, the better you are in financial stability and predictable revenue and those kinds of things. And so I love the line, repeat revenue is the cheapest revenue. I know a lot of us in the pet industry see tons of reoccurring revenue models, memberships, subscriptions, re-upping in whatever way that looks because you want that customer to continue to come to you. Obviously, that is all related to retention, and Pocket Suite's got some great tools for that. So the questions you should be able to ask and answer for yourself on client retention is how many clients returned within 90 days of the pet's last stay. Reference that before relating to occupancy, right? Take this report of how many clients have returned within 90 days and say, why didn't you come back? And then we'll talk in a little bit about how we leverage communicating with those folks and getting them back. Is my retention rate growing, flat, or declining? Something that I love to look at for my customer base is what percentage of my customer base has a reservation this week? That's another sort of way you can slice and dice it, right? I always know in the summer that percentage is really high because I offer daycare and boarding and all the things. In the cold winter months, people aren't thinking about taking their dogs to daycare as much sometimes. So I'm looking at that, but you want to understand, is your retention rate growing, flat, or declining? Which service types have the strongest rebooking rates, which don't? This is a huge one. And if you're a person who offers multiple services, I always recommend you should know what the order of your services are by usage, right? Which one is the strongest? Is your boarding always 35% and your training is 20% and your grooming is behind? But also digging into that, if you're a trainer, what percentage of your sales are board and trains versus day train versus classes. If you don't know that, you can't make smart decisions about what you're offering to your customers. Very critical for operations. And then again, who hasn't booked in 60 to 90 days and have I reached out? Interventions here is post follow-ups, of course, check in on the pet's experience. If you're not doing report cards for pets that are in your care, you should be. Huge client retention tool. And those are all forms that you should and could set up that are customized to the way that you handle the care of the pet. Those customers love that. The thing that I always mention relating to client retention is you really have, unless you're a trainer, you get a little bit more time. But if you're a groomer or a daycare person or anybody that's providing a service to the pet, most generally you have 3 minutes at the beginning of the interaction and or the stay, and 3 to 5 minutes at the end. That's less than 10 minutes worth of interaction time with the pet parent for you to be able to impact them and make sure that they are, again, a sticky customer to you. So using those features like a report card to send out to the customer and say, hey, this is how your pet is doing, just lock it in for you from a perspective of that customer wanting to come back time and time again. Then I
Yeah.
already, oh, go ahead, Abby.
I was just going to chime in because just from the training perspective, I've trained dogs pre and post COVID. And one of the things that we noticed is, especially during peak COVID, so many trainers were getting so many new leads every day that retention really wasn't something that was on the map, right? Everyone got a puppy during COVID. There was plenty of dogs to be trained. We were not thinking recurring revenue. And
Yeah,
now all those COVID puppies have either been trained or have matured. And suddenly we're going, oh, where are all the training leads? So now so many folks are kind of revisiting and saying, oh, well, what kind of classes can I offer to bring clients back? What brush up boarding services? Maybe they come back and board when you go on vacation and you brush up on training. So these are some things that we're seeing in training as well to kind of bring these customers back because the marketing spend, it's just it doesn't make sense, right? Once you've acquired the client, you've already spent that money. Get every dollar you possibly can.
exactly. Again, I said we were going to highlight some of the things in Pocket Suite. If you have not seen this report, definitely take a look at it. Pocket Suite's client conversion report, really awesome to understand just where that movement is with your customer and what things are looking like as far as customer retention.
Here you
Oh
go.
man, my most favorite add-on revenue. Increasingly lucrative. There's lots of opinions on how this works. I've seen it done probably 100 different ways, but add-on services, adding value for your customers, adding value to your, adding dollars to your bottom line if you do it correctly. But this is expansion services. This is add-on things. I use the example of Sunday brunch for my, and you can go to the next slide if you want, Abby, but I use the example of Sunday brunch. My team came to me and said, we want to add this Sunday brunch thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't think people are going to pay that. People buy tons of Sunday brunch add-ons in our boarding services. It's like they just want to make sure that their pet is feeling taken care of, and it's not that we don't. We're fully social based and all the great things, but people want to add that on, and so I hesitated for a long time, but if they want to add it on, and I can do it in a really easily efficient delivery, I'm all for it. So again, questions that I would ask to yourself is what is your average ticket value this month compared to last? And the reason we bring this up with add-on services is that pet is in your building and they've paid $35, they've paid $100, whatever the price point is. Have you given your customers a way to pay more to expand the services with you? I think about this a lot with groomers who are not offering, I know it sounds crazy, a blueberry facial add-on is one of the most popular add-ons that I see across groomers. And some people aren't doing it, but it's a really easy swap. I'm going to use this shampoo instead of that shampoo, and it's an add-on service that customers A want to buy, and B that you want to sell because you're increasing that average ticket value. Another way that I would call out um, another way that I would call out add-on service is I see people do it in packages, right? If you're a boarder, if you're a boarding facility, you're saying, hey, I have this package, this package, this package. Middle package, the dog gets all the stuff plus a private walk. Lowest package, the dog gets all the stuff. highest package. The dog is getting, boarding plus a private walk plus a bath plus the thing. Well, people love to bundle, and that's another way to increase that ticket price. What percentage of my bookings are doing add-on services? If you don't know that, you probably don't know what your average ticket value is and what add-ons are being captured consistently. I regularly, at least once a month, really deep dive in what's on my menu. I don't want my customers being confused and I don't want them to be overwhelmed when they're booking. And so I'm taking a look at what are the leading add-on services and how do I continue maximizing that versus what are the things that are not performing and is it worth it being on our menu? I was kind of laughing about we do waste removal. So we will go to people's houses and we scoop their poop literally. And I always look at that and I always think, oh, I just don't think people love this. I don't know if it's a big revenue driver for us. And every year I'm like, okay, it is a good revenue driver for us. Let's keep on keeping on with that. Um, I know it's crazy, right? Um, so what moves this number? Training, training. And the thing that I always mention relating to this is as much as we want to think that our customers know our business and know the services that we offer, the reality is that they may not, right? We are in our business every day. We know that if we're a groomer that we offer a blueberry facial, or if we're a trainer that we offer, you can do a maintenance program or you can do an add-on service, or I will come to your home and do extra in-home lessons. All of these things we know because we're in the business all day, every day. Customers don't. They're tunnel vision to the one service that we wanted. And so I always tell people, do not feel like you shouldn't continuously talk about your business, and especially in this case, add-ons. Oh, sure, I can get you in for a groom. Would you like to add this? Yes, your dog can come for daycare. It's ice cream treat day and it's $5. Do you want to add that? Don't be afraid to offer it to the customer because the customer may not know. Like that's the reality. They may not know the services that you offer there. Again, number two, redesigning your service menu. So upgrades are visible and feel like a natural next step. A lot of folks who use that and leverage front desk. Hey, here's all the items that you can do for check-in. And if folks will go, all the time, folks are like, oh, I want to add a nail trim and I want to add this and I want to add this because it's natural for them to kind of see that. And then I referenced number three already with it, which is bundling add-on packages together. Any questions? Pop questions in the chat if you have questions or comments about what we're talking about. I really would love for folks to interact if you've got questions or comments.
Does
And
anyone
then,
offer add-on services right now? Feel free to drop those in the chat. I know
yeah,
Allison said blueberry facial, very cute and popular. I like the ice cream day idea too. I think a lot of people think of things in the realm of like their human children, right? And so if my daughter was able to go do something fun and it was ice cream day and I had to pay an extra $5 and she got to have a like ice cream sundae party, I'm signing up for that. So it's not any different for my dog.
yeah, Francisco does. Yep, that's awesome.
Nice.
We went to our local Starbucks and I was like, hey, any chance we can get some pup cups? And they gave us like 3 sleeves of Starbucks branded pup cups. And we like put them on and said, hey, it's pup cup day at daycare. And yeah, super fun. Another one that I love if you're a daycare person is poop for a prize, which is not necessarily an add-on, but that's a fun thing. We spray paint a circle in the yard, and if the dog poops in the circle, they get a prize that day, which is just people love it.
That is so funny. I love that. Hadley will
Hey,
appreciate since she went to school in Frederick that we did that at my high school with cows. And we did a bingo and it was a fundraiser. Looks like Casey also offers mandatory go home bath after 3 nights and makes complete sense. That's something that I hear frequently. My local kennel here does it.
Casey, on that point, one thing that we implemented that I love is that we'll do we just call them fluff and buffs on Sundays before pickup. And we actually don't ask. Oh my gosh, Hadley knows the poop contest. We we actually we don't ask about fluff and buff when they check in. If they ask for a bath, we certainly will put it on. But once the dog is checked in, if they don't have a bath added. On Friday, we will text any of the customers who are checked in that don't have baths and say, hey, we do fluff and buffs. It's 25 or 35 or whatever the price is, dollars for a fluff and buff, just a straight bath, no grooming or anything. Would you like to add that on? And every single time people are like, oh yeah, I should definitely want a clean, fresh smelling dog as soon as I come pick up on Sundays. And so sometimes it's about how you interact with the customer and the timing on being able to do that. So awesome. I'm laughing about the poop contest with the cow. That's awesome.
Great fundraiser. Great fundraiser. Awesome. Yeah. And so again, just to quick pocket sweep plug income reports. You can actually see here, if you can see my mouse, on the report itself too, you can actually compare multiple metrics within Pocket Suite. So this is something I've not seen in other systems. So yes, we're looking at our income. We can, and if I were to be able to scroll here, I'd actually be able to look at the itemized so I can see which add-ons are providing that income. But then I can also compare that against bookings, against gratuity is here against multiple different options. You can even break it down by things like lead source. So you can actually see, oh, the people that find me on Facebook for some reason book way more add-ons. So there's just a lot really within the reporting that you can kind of take this to.
Thank you. I think we have a typo on this one for some reason, Abby, or my screen is cut off
Oh,
on this
oops.
first. um, Next one is marketing efficiency. So just talking about what are your tried and true methods for marketing. I like, again, show of hands, who in a pet care business is regularly thinking about marketing? Near nobody, because you're too busy scooping dog poop and making sure the pets are taken care of and checking vaccines and chasing vaccines and all the things. And so the marketing thing, it typically goes by the wayside, right? What I do love, again, not to plug Pocket Suite, but I will. I love the smart campaigns that we have available for marketing. If you want to go to the next slide, Abby, that's great. And I'll talk a little bit about what questions I would be asking myself and then what we would do about it in Pocket Suite and how you can leverage technology and automation to do some of this stuff. So the three questions we would ask ourselves every month is how many inquiries came in and how many became confirmed bookings. If you do not know how many new customers either registered with you or inquired with you, you have to know that because this is where that client retention and the bleed comes. And also, I would say if you don't have a way for your customers to interact with you off hours, you have to get something in place. If you're a groomer and the client is sitting next to their pet on the couch at 9 o'clock at night and petting it and realizing, oh my gosh, this doodle is matted, they will book with the first person. Nothing against doodles. I have a Carrie Blue, they're very similar hair. Um, they will go, they will move on, right? If you do not have a way to interact with customers off your hours, they will move on. They will go and find someone to book with. And so that's really important. And the reason I say that relating to inquiries is how many of your customers are interacting with you and you don't get them on your books. You should know that number. And you should also know the number that you're converting and study that as well. What customers interacted with you and ended up in your doors or ended up getting service from you? And what was that perfect flow? Because then you can start maximizing those things. And by the way, I'm not saying sit down and slice and dice this data for hours. What I'm saying is even just starting tomorrow, actually start on Friday, look at the whole month of April, figure out where your inquiries came and how many customers you booked. You start with just that number, you're immediately going to be able to dive into other numbers, and it takes 5 seconds to pull that report and take a look at it. That will then lead you to some of the next questions. Where are my clients dropping off, right? Did they give you a lead form but never request a booking? Did they book a booking and then cancel? Those are all the questions that I would start asking after that that will help you to really fine tune and maximize the flow of how your customers are getting to you. And then, am I relying on discounts? Back to the beginning when we talked about occupancy, are you knowing your slow periods and always offering a coupon or a discount or something along those lines? How do you do something like half off daycare to push folks in? If you're a mobile groomer or a mobile trainer, are you pushing to a specific zip code and saying, like, next Tuesday, we have appointments in this area? Those are the kinds of things that the top question will start to ask you, or you'll start to ask. What moves the number, reducing friction in the booking process. The biggest question I ask people is when's the last time you booked a dog for yourself through your flow? When's the last time you pretended like you were a new customer looking to go to Sally's daycare, Sally's training, K9, whatever your business name is? When is the last time you went to that website and figured out how to book and or interact? It's stunning. Back to the conversation I just was talking about is that we know our business, but once a quarter, typically, I'm getting on my website and I'm like, man, it is not really clear to our customers that we offer waste removal service. Or it is not really clear to our customers that in order to book you, they should push this button. I should just change the name of that or adjust it. And that will remove a ton of friction in itself, right? So, again, taking a look at what that looks like, responding to inquiries faster, saved messages, template messages. If you're a trainer, we all know we have answered the same 57 questions the same time. They're the same way every time. And you should have that saved, right? It's not that you can't customize it, but again, the faster you can interact with those customers when they reach out to you, the higher likelihood that you will convert them into a customer. And so if you say the same thing 100 times over and you find yourself typing it or typing it, save it, copy paste. And at least that starts the conversation and keeps that customer engaged long enough for you to then get behind the computer and really give some customized responses. Shifting the discount spend toward targeted promotions for specific periods. This is tough because I think the mindset for us who are in the pet industry is like, I would rather cut prices lower to get people in my doors than spend money on something to get people in my doors. But I really encourage you to understand what that's costing you in labor. I mentioned that I did this as to try to fill up my Fridays. I had to be really clear that those days were loss leaders for me, right? Because my doors were bursting open with customers, but I had to have a lot of people on staff. In fact, we do it now a few times a year at one of my locations. It's very busy. We had like 160 dogs today. And my team is always like, oh, it's half price daycare day. And it's because everybody comes, right? But the reality is that I'm having to staff so much up that I probably would just be better suited to take that extra cash I spent on staff and go put it somewhere else to target folks or push people through the door. And then a referral program. You can do that 100 ways. And I won't spend too much time on it because some people don't love it because it feels again like you're giving things away for free. But the other reality is if you're giving good service and you have high client retention and you're doing a great job, most likely that loyal customer base will bring you people no matter what. But it's also a great idea to put some structure around it and physically actually reward those customers. Here's $10 off. Here's a promo code you can use, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I've even seen people put them in a drawing for a gift card. If you don't have a ton of budget for that, at least it's some kind of appreciation, which is huge. Something I'll also just note from personal experience in the training, the reducing friction for the booking process has paid dividends for my experience. Dog training is often a very emotional purchase. And so, maybe it's they're cleaning pee off the floor for the 10th time and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they're delirious and the dog won't sleep and it's peeing everywhere and they're Googling dog trainer near me. Are you going to be the first one that comes up? Are you going to have great reviews, word of mouth? And are you going to have a way for them to get in touch with you immediately? And so that's the biggest thing is just the ease of a book now evaluation button to get into your workflow. Get them while that purchase is emotional.
Yeah, that's a good call out, Abby.
Yeah. Here's your leads. This is important as well.
Yep. Like I mentioned, client conversion and booking data, online lead form, lead dashboard. And I'm sure that you all have heard this before, but it's especially true for the trainers and the boarding. What you do today is going to pay off in 3 to 6 months. And so these leads, like we all know the person that we've talked to on a training call, and they're like, we're not going to book right now. And then 6 months later, they're back, right? It's sort of, again, how you treated those customers, how you watch them convert from a lead into a paying customer. You will start to understand what it takes and kind of what that formula is to get them to book faster. If you present information in one way, you're having tons of people that are waiting 6 months to convert. But oh, let me switch my script up, or let me talk about this, or do something in a slightly different way. Are you starting to convert them in 3 months or 2 months or immediately, depending on how that all looks? It's really interesting to kind of study that. And again, I can't underline enough. Studying doesn't mean sitting down for 3 hours at a spreadsheet because nobody has time for that. The point is literally, I'm like waiting in the pickup line for my kids, looking at my phone, going, oh, wow, look, our conversion is looking really good. Hey, what did I do on socials to be able to convert them? What cute dog picture did we push that we're getting it? And it should be like, if you don't have it on your phone and can't do it in less than 2 minutes, you've got to get some technology in place to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. The last one.
This is the hardest one. Why do we leave
Save
this to the
for last.
last? Labor efficiency. What are you spending on labor by service? Again, if you don't know what it costs you to deliver the goods or service that you're providing, you could have intense bleed. And it's really difficult, right? Training is so one-on-one. That daily rate or that hourly rate of what you're charging, I'm not saying we're charging by the day or by the hour for as trainers, but it's so important to know and price yourself appropriately that you're getting paid what you want to be paid for the time that it takes you to deliver the service. Same thing is true in boarding and daycare. I'll give a great example of one of my locations, super old building, really wasn't set up initially to be a boarding facility. It was a vet's office for like 20 years. I bought it from someone who had done some work to it, but it's very inefficient. We are touching and handling the dogs like 8 to 10 times a day, taking them outside, taking them to play groups, back to their kennels and those kinds of things. And so I'm trying to say, how many touches do I have? How many times am I having to build play groups that I have ratios to meet and all those kinds of things? And how much am I bleeding or not bleeding? Labor. And I have to know that, right? Lots of good calculations. If you want to go to the next slide, you can, Abby. Lots of great calculation is what's generating my highest revenue. So that number one question is, which service generates the highest revenue per labor hour? Trainers, if you don't know that based on each of your categories, right? Your board and trains, your maybe day trains, maybe classes, those kinds of things, you have to know that, because if you're not making money, then what are we all here for, right? High effort services on the menu that aren't earning their keep. Again, in fact, I just did this not long ago with my services. I did profitability by everything. I said, for a doggy day school day training, we're doing this many sessions. It takes this many hours. I pay this much to my trainers. This is how much money is going to my bottom line. And I'm going, oh, well, that's probably going to get a price increase, right? Or another one where it's like, oh, this is a really good profitable service for me. I should continue to push this and do some promotion to build that service up on my menu. Um, our staff schedules align to peak demand and occupancy data or to habit. This is another one of those that I do about 4 times a year. I look at it and say, are we scheduling right? Right? Do we have some on the heat map? Do we have a little bit more labor in these areas, but not as many dogs? Should I be cutting and shaving off 30 minutes here or 30 minutes there on staff schedules? That matters. When minimum wage or when what you're paying is 15, 16, 17, $18 an hour in some states, so shaving off 30 minutes 5 times a week is a big dollar amount that is, kind of cutting into your revenue. So, or your net income, I should say. And am I spending staff time on admin that could be automated? Oh my gosh, what a time to be alive, right? I really encourage you to zoom out as far as possible on all this stuff, scheduling, labor, client conversion, all the things. That, again, I've said it probably 6 times today, so don't shoot me again to say it again, but I if you can't do it in 2 minutes on your phone, you're on the wrong tech stack, right?
Yeah,
You're on the wrong tool. If it can't be pulled up on your phone in 2 minutes or less, you gotta put something in place, because that's just the reality, right? If you want to do some big analysis, if you want to look at what is the profitability of each of your things to start with, it's going to take you a little bit of time. But once you have it set up, it should take you no more than 2 minutes to do anything, because it should be on your phone and very easily done.
absolutely.
Um, yeah. What moves the number? Review your service mix. If you take one thing away from today, I recommend you going and looking at every single thing that people pay you money for and know what it costs you and where it ranks in the stack or on your menu, so to speak. Aligning staff schedules to occupancy data, of course, we referenced that. And then automating intake, invoice, client communication, all the things. I know. We need to talk to our customers. I never want to not have a relationship with our customers, but people want convenience. People want to be able to call on the phone and say the thing, or they want to be able to text you and say, I want an appointment, or they want to go to a booking page and they want to do it now because they're at a stoplight, me, or I'm in my kid's pickup line, or it's 10 o'clock at night and I have forgotten for the 15th time in a row to call and fill my prescription, right? I want to be able to do those things right then and there. And so that's just so critical that you take a look at it. I think the best place that you will find to do that is go to your website and act like a customer. Figure out how those customers interact with you and really pay attention to it as if you know nothing about your own business. And you'll learn a lot from that, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is up on the screen. We've talked about most of these features in Pocket Suite already. Again, what I want to talk about is shop. I want to talk shop about the industry. Pocket Suite, I believe, is one of the best platforms out there, specifically for reporting and things getting to your pocket as quickly as possible. But would love to hear what you guys think about this last piece. If you have any comments on labor efficiency and what you do and what tools you use to be able to analyze that and be nimble on your feet with that.
Yeah, drop in the chat.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. Okay, we can go to the next one, Abby, I think.
There you go.
You want to talk about smart reports, Abby?
Sure.
Happy to stop talking because I've talked a lot.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about reports. So, we have a smart reports dashboard within Pocket Suite, and we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but we call it smart because not only is it just intuitive and user friendly to use, but you can actually kind of set it. So when I talked earlier about how you can set specific metrics on your reports and your dashboards, that will save within Pocket Suite. So if you always want to compare the same couple of metrics and just track that day to day and week to week, again, you can kind of configure that to fit your exact business needs. Again, me being more dog training specific, I probably need slightly different metrics and reports than maybe a true boarding and daycare business or a grooming business for that matter. And so you can pull snapshots and you can compare period over period, which is super helpful. Compare, this month over last or this year over last. And so it will also spot trends for you. Something that I like, again, I've worked in software for over 4 years now, but that does not mean that I'm not a dog person at my core. And so I like easy. I'm not a numbers person. So Pocket Suite literally will give me a green arrow that it means good, or a red arrow down that means bad. Love it because it draws my attention and it's so user friendly, and I'm not getting too deep in the weeds because I'll get distracted by a Great Dane with happy tail or something else going on. So it really just helps me drill into the specifics. And it also, again, can make things more automated for you because it will surface this information that we've just talked about, right? Allison said, you need to be able to find this information in 2 minutes. These are the kinds of things that will surface. So total revenue by service type. Then you can slice it by staff member. Then you can slash it by client segment. We can even track things like UTM source, and that's a very big marketing thing that frankly still goes a little bit over my head. So it's really helpful that Pocket Suite knows what that is because I certainly don't. And so Pocket Suite's able to just pull that for me and say, hey, this is the source of this lead or this client. This is how they came into your funnel. So by being able to do that, again, it's bringing this information to my attention so that I'm not spending a ton of time on that. It again can surface labor, class, reservation, all kinds of, we call them resources, but essentially it's your capacity utilization. So whether that's, again, kennels or a agility training field or a grooming table, it's your occupancy, it's your capacity. It's able to surface that for you as well. Can surface lapsed client lists. So who came in for an evaluation with me and I never saw them again? Definitely, again, during 2020, 2021, even parts of 2022, I was not keeping up with that because I was up to my ears in dogs to begin with. Now that's something that I'm much more dialed into because every lead is much more precious, I should say. Average ticket value trends, add-on performances. Like Allison said, it's kind of a dance, right? We want to drive add-ons that provide revenue, right? And don't take a ton of time and resources. That's why I'm a huge fan of the things like frozen Kongs or, very low labor, but easy to do in bulk, right? If you've got 50 dogs in boarding, you've got to pick something that's going to be able to be delivered across those 50 dogs.
Sometimes I tell customers, if you're not offering a frozen cone, get out of here. Everybody wants a frozen cone.
Literally,
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
nice dishwasher and then just throw them all
Get
in.
a bottle brush and just get it. Yeah, yeah. The
It's
frozen
so
cone is so popular. People want to do that, and it's so easy to spend a few minutes, and the return on your investment there is high usually.
huge. And I, as someone who has working dogs, like love it because I'm always booking that kind of stuff because I know otherwise my dog's going to be a menace for those poor, lovely people that work at the kennel. Um, and I don't want that for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've followed these add-on performances and again, average ticket value. Um, Booking conversion tracking too, from the inquiry form to the confirmed reservations. Again, from a training perspective, for me, that's a lot of evals. I want to see how these evals are going and the conversion on those. And then service frequency across the entire catalog. So again, I'm seeing so many more trainers offering instead of just, oh, let me fix your dog and see you never. It's, hey, I fixed your dog. And when you go on vacation, why don't you send them back to me? You trusted with them, me with your dog the first time. That means a lot to me. Send them back to me. Or, man, you're back in the office and you have a Belgian Malinois. Did you know I offer structured daycare? I'll work your dog while you're at work. So those kinds of services that require more frequency, again, than just let me fix your dog and see you next time you get a puppy. So again, Pocket Suite has smart reports, just making all of this automatic. And we kind of already touched on this, so I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds, but I can kind of show you here. So we're looking at the last 30 days. You can also compare this month or the last 30 days this year over last year. And then these are those metrics I was telling you that you can actually kind of set to be the same every time. Here's that again, that beautiful, beautiful green arrow that we love to see. And so all of that just making it very easy and again, surfaced up to the top. Um, a lot on here for admin as well. So one of my biggest, and I think Kim actually had commented about Google reviews or word of mouth. Um, that's all done right within Pocket Suite. No integrations with other providers. It's all right within the system. We'll send out to your clients for that review and ask for a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The cool thing is too, if they give you a thumbs down, it doesn't direct them to Google. It directs them back to your business so that you can hopefully intercept. So everything is very automated. Client onboarding automation, pet intake forms. Alice and I both kind of push, the online booking experience. And for some professionals, dog trainers especially, we find online booking to be a little scary. We just don't know what's going to walk through our door. And that's what these automated intake forms are for, right? Get some of this information up front so that you're not going, what the heck is about to come through my door for an eval? And so again, just kind of automate what can be automated so that you can focus on that personal touch when it matters. I think that's the biggest thing. We don't want to lose the personal touch. We just want to focus it where it matters. It shouldn't be tracking down vaccinations. The owners can be responsible for that, right? So if that can be automated, that gives me more time to spend with the pet parent. So again, Allison gave us the 5 questions we've answered has now kind of turned into a 5-step growth plan. And so we looked at client retention, occupancy management, labor efficiency, marketing efficiency, add-on revenue, and of course we talked a little bit about how Pocket Suite can help you achieve all of those things easily on your phone and within minutes. I'm going to let Allison kind of take it back from here again, just to kind of drive her points home since she's the one that went over those 5 questions for us.
Yeah, for sure. I think we did hit that pretty hard. I saw someone say, Casey said, loving this in her comment. I'm so glad. Like our favorite thing is to provide value for you guys and for our customers. And so here with this growth plan, again, everything you're doing relating to occupancy and client retention, add on all the things you should be able to do in 2 minutes or less. Sit down with your coffee for 10 minutes and check all those things and just see where they lead you and see where they lead you to change or keep things the same, right? Because sometimes I eyeball a number and I'm like, that means we're doing fine, right? I know this specific number means that we're doing fine in that category. And so that's great. But also challenge yourself, right? Okay, this was my occupancy this week last year. I'm gonna how do I nudge that up? Look at Memorial Day if you're a boarder. Go and look at our boarding facility. Go to Memorial Day and figure out, okay, my occupancy was 60% last year. What do I have to do to push that up? And it doesn't have to be giving things away for free, right? It could be marketing. It could be looking at what customers have been here and haven't been back. And maybe you're going to push them some kind of promotion. But really taking a look at it, you cannot manage what you do not measure. And that's a little bit of a cliche management quote. I don't know who said it, but I remember that. You can't manage it if you're not measuring it. And so some of us just sort of like eyes wide shut situation of like, I'm just in it, right? I'm doing the thing. I'm a dog trainer. I'm a groomer. I'm in my business and working. And if you don't have those numbers at your fingertips, it's just not powerful, and you can't grow. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Um, these are just some other tips that we've listed, looking at your conversion rates and all the things that we've talked about before. I said 10 minutes, 30 minutes is what I really personally spend once a week, usually with as many locations as I have. 30 minutes is about all I spend on reporting because I have it set up so automated. Again, I can roll down that. And if I see something we need to work on, we dive into that and our teams jump on it. But hopefully everything is sort of steadily growing because you've got all these systems set up in place.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're not already on Pocket Suite, definitely start a free trial so that, and you can see we've got some screenshots here, so that you can really see kind of what you're missing, right? See, get these pieces. There's nothing worse than kind of working as hard as we do in the pet industry. I mean, how many steps are you guys realistically walking every single day? Feel free to drop that in the chat. We'll see who wins. So I'm going to Disney next week, and I doubt I'll still get as many steps as I did when I was full-time training dogs. So all this to say, let's get you a tool that's going to actually save you time where you can save time, and then we'll just keep up in those steps, 40,000 a day. But seriously, um, we have a pet resort edition of Pocket Suite set up just because the tool itself is so robust and so customizable. What we've done is we've set up kind of a template modeled off of your average typical pet resort business with things already pre-filled in, pre-built-in services like boarding, daycare, add-ons, and you just got to set your prices. So it's already there for you to play with. It's a free trial. You get 30 days to get in there and play around. You can also book a free demo with myself. I'd be happy to hop on Zoom and do some one-on-one coaching so that we can look into your free trial and into these reports more specifically one-on-one. So happy to break that down for you. And again, in our edition, we've got pre-built services, pre-built forms, pre-built contracts, smart reports we've talked about ad nauseum, and then automated onboarding flow as well, so that everyone is prepared to move forward. Here are some awesome Pocket Suite pros who have said some nice things about us. And so please don't take our word for it, take theirs. They've got some beautiful pups there as well. And then again, this is where you can get a hold of us. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, my name is Abby. Allison's been with me today. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. All of those years and all those businesses, it's definitely carries a lot of weight. So
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Abby, and nice to chat with everyone. Hope to see you again on another upcoming webinar.
yeah, thank you all. Feel free to drop any last questions in the chat. If not, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.